I think we only need to listen to that once. Ladies and gentlemen, what a morning I've had. What a morning. I know it's been a crazy week in the land of crypto, and we're going to go over that today as we turn off this music. My word, nothing is going right this morning in the land of technology. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. I was already got up early this morning to have a nice early show. I'm going to do a recap. As many of you have heard, listening to me all week, I'm trying to get the YouTube algorithm going here. Morning, Chuck. Morning. That YouTube algorithm, they say, let's make some content. Talk about your project. Let's do it. And then we go to do it, and all crashes. Let's see if I can get my stuff going here. Let's see, here we go. Here's the comment I'm looking for. Chuck Jansen. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, Chuck. I went live earlier, about 45 minutes ago. I was trying to go at 7:30 Central Time. Nope. No, software was not cooperating. Apparently overnight a Windows update happened, so went through that. Rescheduled for 8 o'clock. All was good. Hit that go live button. Blue screen of death. Psh, done. And then when I brought it up, it had a recovery to do or something. I don't know. It's just one of those things where you're like, come on, man. All I wanted to do was go live. Help that morning or that YouTube algorithm get the business done. I don't know what else to say about that. Anyway, this morning we're live on YouTube. Trying to get that algorithm going there. We're live on Roku as usual. Trying to get that Roku algorithm going to get us in, to actually get us into their search feature. They won't get us into their search feature until we have more installs. I think the number's like 2,000 or something. The number's crazy. Trying to figure out why I'm hearing myself also. Anyway, and we're live on LinkedIn. To anybody that's joining us on LinkedIn now, during the live or later during the replay, thank you for tuning in. I've actually been getting more viewers on LinkedIn than I have been on YouTube lately. And I like that because I get the word out, but the LinkedIn is not monetized, so it doesn't really help me at all. Where did the monitoring software go here? There it is. You have to put up with me for a second here. This Saturday morning is a little rough from a technology point of view. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching the live show, we have voice comments open in the DYOR project's voice chat in their Telegram room. If you know how to find their Telegram room, please join it. When I put the link in the comments below, the spam bots come. So I can't do that. I just got to assume that a listener knows how to use Telegram, can find the DYOR project. It'll say DYOR Project Global on it. I have 4,197 members if there's a copy out there. And you can join for a chat, which I do appreciate. Get some good people coming on, bringing stuff up. Yesterday we had Crypto Mike from Manitoba. We'll follow her. We have Pedro Garcia, technical analysis guy. I invited him to come on in a little bit, see if he can get it together here on Saturday morning. But really, the point of today's show is to go over this crazy week that we've had in crypto. If you see my comments in the YouTube and various places for the description of the show, I have a quote in there. It says, as John Lennon famously said, "Strange days indeed. Most peculiar, mama. Roll." And that's kind of the theme for crypto this past couple of weeks. I mean, I know we were in the doldrums for a while, and I've been up here saying it's crazy for a long time. I get that. But the last couple of weeks, as crypto's influence and kind of public relations has bled over into traditional finance, I would say that it's been most peculiar. As they say. Let's see, I don't even know where to start here. I've got all these notes, but they don't make sense in my head here after this spaz of a morning. First, let's talk about, let's review what happened with Coinbase. If many of you remember, Coinbase got the Wells letter from the SEC. I gotta say, how many of us know a whole bunch of stuff now that we didn't a year ago about the regulatory environment in the United States? Like a year ago, how many of us would say, oh, I know what a Wells letter is? Here in Chicago, we have Wells Street. I'd be like, oh, did someone send a letter to Wells Street? Obviously, the answer to that is no. It's a notice the SEC sends out saying you are going to be enforced and we are going to take all your money and use it for our own budget. So the Coinbase enforcement kind of sucks. And the reason is that Coinbase has been around a long time now. Coinbase is in its fourth year, I guess. Third year. They've been public now 2 years, year and a half, something like that. And the SEC has had plenty of time to say, hey, you're not doing things right, or we're uncomfortable with this. And the SEC has also had plenty of time to say, hey, this is all new, and we need to figure this out, because clearly it's one of the most popular things on the planet is digital assets here. There's more people in digital assets in crypto than there is the stock market, excluding your work 401k and your investments through that. For people that individually trade and invest in things, there's more people now in crypto than there is in the stock market. Like I said, that excludes all those funds that you have and all that kind of stuff, because technically everybody that has a retirement is in the stock market. No comments full of, oh, you're not doing your math right. There's millions of people actively trading crypto in the US, and there's not millions of people actively trading stocks. And the SEC had plenty of time. And Coinbase even went to them. They sent them letters year after year after year saying, look, we want to comply with the rules. Just lay down some rules for us to comply with. You can't just say you guys can't exist, because the whole nation wants it to happen, except for about 6 old white people in Washington, D.C. And the SEC just didn't answer them. They did not respond to them. Coinbase famously came out and said, look, right on television, look, here we are at SEC. We want to work with you. And the CEO of Coinbase, in an interview on, I don't remember if it was on CNBC or Bloomberg, sat there like a puppy dog with the big wide eyes, saying, please, SEC, work with us. Work with us. We want to work with you. We will work within the rules that you lay out if you lay out a nice, fair arrangement. I mean, they're doing KYC. They're doing anti-money laundering. They're willing to register their securities. But the SEC has publicly said, we have not allowed any crypto digital assets to get through registration. People have tried. They have tried and failed. Now, they've failed for 2 reasons. One, there's a bias in the SEC against that. And not just so much because it's like, oh, it's crypto, we can't let these guys go. It's because it's new. And the SEC isn't used to doing things new. They've been doing things a certain way for a long time. And when they have changes, they see it coming. They see it coming because there's a law being made. and that takes a long time, and they can prepare for it, and their legal teams can weigh in on stuff, and they can come up with policies and procedures. And court cases. A lot of what the SEC does is based on what we call settled law. The SEC can't do something because a court said, no, that's outside of your purview, or that is inside with your purview. And court cases take a long time. So the SEC has plenty of time for that. And so when crypto comes around and just says, hey, we want you to lay down rules for us. Here, we're here right now. And the SEC is like, I don't know, let's have a meeting next month about it. We're going to have to get the board together. And crypto, as we all know, innovates at what? What's going on in crypto every day? New stuff every day. Literally every day, new stuff in crypto is coming out. Things that you released 3 months ago. Somebody looks at your project, forks it, comes up with a better idea of it, and has a new way of doing it. You figure out one way to do things a little faster. Well, I've got a new DEX that eliminates the XYZ. 10 minutes later, a guy says, oh yeah, I looked at your DEX. Now mine eliminates XYZ PDQ. And you also can trade goblins and wizards, otherwise known as NFTs. And that happens so fast, there is no chance the regulatory climate can keep up. I mean, right now we've just heard from the IRS saying that they want to treat NFTs as other collectibles, like Cabbage Patch dolls. I mean, they should treat most NFTs as trash, because most NFTs are trash. For you Canuckistanis, get my Canada Cup. So the SEC has come out to Coinbase long after it was time and said we're going to proceed with enforcement, which means they're going to bring the hammer down. And most companies, when they get that letter, don't fight it. And they don't fight it because it's enormously expensive. Look at XRP. How long has XRP been going on with the SEC now? Years. And more years. And that's expensive. That's very expensive to do. Now, obviously, Coinbase has got the coin, literally the coin, to fight the SEC. And they could drag it out for years. However, there's a problem with that. The problem with that is that it does take a long time and you have an uncertain regulatory climate. If you're fighting them, Congress could step in. Congress, while not as adversarial to crypto as they were just a few months ago when the Democrats had both houses, they're still not warm to it. And the oversight committees are still not exactly warm to crypto. Getting warmer, though, on the House of Republican side. House of Republicans. Nice slip up. House of Representatives side, because the Republicans control it. Just got a note. Check on LinkedIn here. All right, seems to be working. I'll just leave a comment for people. Welcome. Voice comments in the DYOR project Telegram voice chat. Do that once again. I still have my background music playing a little too loudly. Like I always say, the background music's hard. You get copyright notifications all the time. The music I use in this is all licensed, and I still get copyright violations. Anyway, back to the SEC. They have all this time with Coinbase to let them go. Coinbase went from a private... When Coinbase was private, they said to the SEC, hey, we want to operate within your bounds. SEC quiet. Coinbase says, we want to go public. SEC says, we can do that. Come on, go public. Coinbase is public. And crypto starts to explode. And then it starts to implode. And the administration is like, I don't know about this crypto. Suddenly, Coinbase gets the Wells letter. And it's going to be expensive for them to comply. To end their staking is going to cost $1 bazillion. The fine's going to be huge, and it's going to fund the SEC's budget probably for 6 months or so. And that's what the SEC is looking for. Like I've said before, the SEC doesn't go to Congress and say, we need more money this year. Oh, we're so broke, we need more money. The SEC goes to Congress and says, we're good. We'll take more money if you want to give it to us. But we're good. We collected a couple $2 billion in fines. We got another couple billion more in the pipeline. They have like a sales funnel, like they use Salesforce.com or something. They're like, well, let's enforce this many companies and they'll pay this much. Okay, we can have this many do their budget. So that's what goes on with them. It's not really fair that agencies get to use their proceeds to fund themselves, because that's a conflict of interest. However, on the flip side of that, it does keep them active and going after things. You see agencies that are funded but don't have any competitive spirit to do anything. They just sit around like a bureaucracy and do nothing. So while the SEC being able to use their own funds, or the fines they get to fund themselves, is a huge conflict of interest, because they wait for companies to get way more money in the bank, like Coinbase did. They could have enforced it when Coinbase was making $5 a year. Did they? Nope. They waited till they're $1 billion company. That's how that works. Anyway, CEO went back and forth with the news interviewer about the fact that they've been trying to comply. They've wanted to comply. They've wanted to register, and the SEC has basically said no. And then the SEC comes out and says hammer time. And I think that's not fair. I mean, I'm not moving from facts into my opinion now, and that's not fair at all. And the SEC should know better. But like people tell me all the time, they don't care. They don't care because of two reasons. One, that I just mentioned about funding. And two, the other reason is the revolving door of employment at the SEC, like many government regulators. People go from private industry, public service, to private industry. It's a revolving door. Just like law firms that send their partners to go work at their big clients, to guarantee that their policies and their income comes back and their influence goes this way and that. Same with the government and regulatory agencies. And you see when people leave the SEC, they instantly have a big position at one of the major banks or a major investment fund or something like that. And that's not right. They should have a moratorium where you can't, if you leave government service, you can't go work for the industry you regulated. It's like that in Canada. It actually works very well. And you see in Canada, many more regulators going, that's not right. We need to be a little bit more independent than that. It's because they know that there's no golden parachute for them as soon as they quit. And the SEC does that. People leave. They leave the SEC two ways. They either retire or they go work for a large institution and get paid a ton of money. And right now, those large institutions are wanting to own the system. A lot of money moved into crypto. As I said yesterday, the crypto market went up, the market cap went up $440 million. Billion dollars. $440 billion in the past, since Christmas. That means people took a percentage of that, because the market cap is an inflated value. We'll say 200 billion, half of that. Maybe it's only 150 billion, whatever. Out of fiat and moved it into a crypto account. Now, we all know that the fiat doesn't go anywhere. It goes from your bank account to the exchange's bank account. And it's still sitting there. Didn't get burned or shredded or something like that. So it's still in the money supply, and it's still there. It's still in the banking system. But there's a difference. When, say, I took $1 billion out of my account. I wish I had that problem. And put it in your account. I bought $1 billion worth of your products. You would take that $1 billion and put it in your bank. Might even be the same bank as me. Anyway, the bank takes that $1 billion, and what do? They lend 95 or 90% of it out right away. Then they take that back in, lend that out, take that in, in and out. So it stays in supply and goes and goes and goes. When you take money and give it to an exchange, now that the rules are saying, hey, you got to be more, have more reserves, exchanges are keeping that in cash, in a fund that the bank can't lend out. Or either they're keeping it, somebody was telling me what the exact name of the fund is, like a money market mutual fund, or in a fund that they can get the cash when they need it, regardless of the bank status. Maybe in treasuries or whatever it is. My knowledge of that kind of stops there. But they're keeping it handy. So in case even if the bank fails, they still have their money. That means that money is essentially locked. Just like in staking or in crypto, when you lock up your tokens, when you're a developer and you lock your tokens. Can't use them. They're there. They're valuable. But you can't use them. So essentially that cash has come out of the economy. The fiat has. Now, it's in crypto, and what it does in crypto may spur the economy, it may not. If the money that's going in is used for commerce, well, then it's kind of a trade-off. But most money that goes into crypto right now is not being used for commerce. Most of it's used for investment purposes or safety, storage of money. And so the banks have had to go to the Fed and say, turn on the money machine, boss. We need cheap loans to fix our liquidity. And the Fed did what? Sure, no problem. Print the money button. Now, they don't actually print money, nor do they actually give any money to the banks for free. They give them discounted loans for no interest rate. There's a whole procedure there. Banks can go borrow a ton of money at the discount window, whatever. And they've done that to a tune of, I don't know, I think the Fed's balance sheet is ballooned to $342 billion. I think I just read that. Added to the Fed's balance sheet. I know it's kind of a technical term, the Fed's balance sheet and all this type of stuff. It means they've added $342 billion. And the banks took that. And that's just replacing the money that went into crypto. So the banks are afraid, and they're I'm telling you this long story because the banks want to control the money. That's what they do. The big banks, they got that big because they got laws passed, they got policies passed, and they got regulations passed, and they've squashed competitors because they want to control everything. And it's not for some evil empire or some terrible reason. It's just that's what competitive nature does. Oh, we earned $1 billion this year. Let's earn $2 billion this next year. Let's earn $10 billion next year. How do we do that? Okay, we do these things, blah, blah, blah. Good job, Bob. Nice job. But it's created quite the juggernaut. Because the banks are so big now, they have so much influence. There's only a couple of banks named. Remember, Chicago is a great example. I point over here because my window's here. Chicago is a great example. In every neighborhood, there's an old facade of a bank. First National Bank, 8th Street Bank, Chicago 9th Trust. Banks long out of business. And even the banks that didn't die a long time ago. In the mid-'90s, they started to die when the Clinton administration changed the banking laws. Some of them for the better, but some of them for the worse. And one of the worst ones was allowing... before there was the rule said if you took depositors' money and you were a chartered retail bank, you could not be an investment bank. Investment banks and retail banks were separate. For a good reason. Because the people you wanted to take care of your community and watch your deposits and take care of your mortgages and lend you money for the cars were all in your neighborhood. They got an idea of credit. They got an idea of everyone in the neighborhood of what's going on. It did have some bad sides with the whole redlining and all that too. I get that. When the banking laws changed, they changed to allow banks to become to do whatever, basically to do whatever. And what they did is they quickly bought every regional bank in order to get their deposits. Then they had all that money. And by getting all those deposits and access to future deposits, they knew they had cash coming in. And where'd they do with that? Investment funds. That's right. Let's see, I think that law took effect in 1997. And I think it was passed in 95 and eventually got through and took full effect in 97. And what happened 10 years later after that? 11 years? 10, 11 years? But really, that's when it happened. The problem started. Before that, the mortgage banking crisis. It only took 10 years for the banks to screw it up. Actually, it took them about 5, but they floated on a growing economy for a while. But remember, in 2008, as soon as the economy had a little burp, just a little trouble, and people started defaulting on their mortgages, these derivatives that everyone packaged up, went in the tank, and we had the mortgage crisis. Laws got passed. Congress was, we're upset. We're going to change the laws to not let that happen again. But the bankers sent their lobbyists in. They did. I'm still telling you this story about Coinbase here because of this. Bank said, okay, we'll change the law. By the time the new laws came to pass, nothing really changed. How many years later did it take for the banks to screw it up again? Yep. Only about 10 years. I know it's almost 15 years since 2008. But really, the really low interest rate period started coming, I guess we'll say, in 2020. But no, 2019, 18. It's been so long, kind of that whole period of COVID just blew my time frame out. But anyway, when the interest rates went really low, the banks took on a lot of really, really low interest rate bonds what's called hold to maturity bonds. And those bonds are supposed to be held to maturity, and they get paid. When those bonds mature, they get paid. When interest rates started going up, the smart banks hedged the interest rate, and they paid a lot of money for those hedges. And a hedge is basically, you're just throwing money out if nothing changes. But it's an insurance policy for when things go wrong. And as we all know, that led to Silvergate, that led to Silicon Valley Bank and Signature failing, led to First Republic Bank failing. Credit Suisse, all its problems just came home to roost, as they say. And then even Deutsche Bank is teetering on the edge, and the German government has said they're too big to fail, we won't let them fail. And the price of their credit swaps, which is insurance on the bank failing, has absolutely skyrocketed. And some people are making a ton of money on Wall Street doing that. My word. I'm telling you this whole story, getting around to the end of it, because eventually the lawmakers come and say, we want change. And the bankers say, great, we're sorry. We need a bailout, so we'll change. But then what happens? The lobbyists come in. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the lobbyists come in. And nothing changes. And the banks continue doing what? They continue to say, all right, we got through that. Now we need to do this again. And that's what they did right before Coinbase came around, and that's what they're going to do now. What's the evidence of that? Say, Tom, you've been sitting up here talking for a while. You're talking about this grand conspiracy. I'll tell you what it's about. Here on American Banker, it's a great website. Right here in public, it gives away pretty much all the information that's going on. Let's just do Bank of America patent. I spell that right. The article's not coming up easy. It's amazing how you can find things. It's easier to find things on Google on a company's website than it is on their own search tool. Anyway, in an episode of my podcast that I host for Audit Chain, sorry, I'm looking through this. We talked about the article in which the Bank of America is spending millions and millions and millions of dollars researching crypto and coming up with new systems, and they have a lot of patents. In fact, they have more patents filed for digital assets than any other financial institution, including crypto organizations, exchanges, VCs, and all these projects you see. The Bank of America does. So when I sit up here and I switch from fact into opinion and I tell you my ideas about the banking system and where they're going with it, it's backed up by these stories about what the banks are spending their money on. And they're spending it on developing systems that they're not telling us about. Where is that article? Why don't we let's just do it the right way. Okay, go to google.com. Bank of America patent. It's just outside of my sight range over there. Crypto patents. Man, I cannot spell today. You can get it anywhere until it's spelled correctly. All right, we'll just use the article on bitcoin.com. If it loads. All right, so here we go. We have hundreds of blockchain patents, but regulation won't allow us to engage in crypto. Right here. Brian Moynihan telling everybody, we have all these patents. We've invested millions and millions of dollars, probably $100 million or more, in crypto. And we can't use it because of regulation. We can't use them. That means they've spent the money, they've done the research, they've spent the money on development, and they're ready to put the final amount of money into it to push it into a product that they can sell or use. But they're saying the government won't let us use it. Okay, so what's the next step? Make sure you can use it by showing what? How all of your other interesting. How the crypto people are failing. Trying to figure out what this graph is over here on my thing. It's my Telegram room. So with the banks investing in it, now they're putting pressure on these. As my girlfriend says, Tom, land the plane. I'm going to land the plane for you here. The banks have spent the money on crypto. They're not really allowed to use it. How are they going to be allowed to use it? They're going to squeeze the crypto markets themselves and say, these new people, they can't be trusted. Trust us. And they're lobbying the government right now. That's my next topic, is the government lobbying on this. And check in with somebody here on Twitter about that. And so when all of this comes home to roost, the banks will say, you can't trust all these random people to manage all this money that affects the economy so greatly. They'll finally admit it. They'll find, oh yes, crypto's a big part of the economy. That means the chartered, trusted banks need to manage it. And here we have all these systems. And by the way, it's $1.50 each time you trade something. Or it's $5 a week. Or every time you take crypto out, it's a fee. It's another fee. It's another fee. It's another fee. That's what they're working for. And that's why the squeeze is on from the lobbyists to the government. And that's why the SEC is now taking this approach. As if you remember, this week we had the economic report of the president to Congress. In it, this is the famous report that said crypto has no utility. It's useless. Even for using it as payment, it doesn't work. Meanwhile, what was it? A16Z or I can't remember the name of the VC has invested about $4 billion in companies around the payments and monetary and the monetary value companies. I can't remember the actual word for that. And needless to say, the revolution that's going on in small payments. I mean, there's two things. One, in Canada, there's a thing called Interact, where all the banks got together. There's only a couple of banks in Canada. They all got together and said, we need a interbank system, people to pay each other and companies and all this kind of stuff. And they basically came up with their own version of a simple PayPal. And it's instant. You send money to anyone in Canada with Interact or a company. Boom, 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 boom. And it's great. It's fantastic. That really doesn't work anywhere else in the world, except in countries that have switched to pay using mobile phone credits. Now, here in the U.S., there's 83 different systems. There's Zelle, there's Venmo, there's PayPal, there's Cash App, there's just about anything. And they don't all talk to each other. And even there's a couple that do talk to each other. The settlement isn't good. You got to wait. If there's an error, oh God, forget it. You've lost your money. And that's why people pay with crypto. Happens. Even the money transmitter people are switching to crypto. And it just as a nugget, I keep reminding people is that they say, well, crypto people need to register as money transfers because you're sending money. There's a difference. When you send money via MoneyGram or something like that, they actually send the money. They take your money, and if you're sending it to your relative in Poland, your relative in Poland withdraws the money, and behind the scenes, Western Union or MoneyGram USA settles up, actually sends the money to Western Union Poland. With crypto, no money goes anywhere. That's what everybody thinks, that there's money flowing around the world and all this type of stuff. Could go on this tangent forever. With crypto, the money is just in a ledger. There's not even any money in it. The money's actually in the exchange's bank. And the ledger says, Striking owns 0.001% of stellar lumens. And then I say, you know what? I need to pay that guy. I'm going to send him my stellar lumens. And this 0.001% doesn't go anywhere. The name associated with it, the wallet address, just changes. Nothing moved. There's no cash going around or anything like that. That's how DeFi works. Now, it's different in an exchange. Like if, say, Binance US, say I had my $1 billion on the Binance exchange in the US, and I said, you know what, I'm going to send that money to my corporation or to my friend. I just bought $1 billion worth of sports cars from my friend in Poland and used, I just forgot the Poland. We'll just say Polish exchange number one. That $1 billion is too much. That's a lot of cash. And so behind the scenes, they use settlement banks for that. From exchange to exchange, that was the deal for Silvergate Bank. and signature to some extent. Silvergate worked with the exchanges to settle the cash transactions when they needed to move large amounts of fiat behind the scenes. Money actually did move for that. But for regular DeFi transactions, all we're sending each other is just your ownership share. Just as if the old farmer days, you had a pile of hay. 20 farmers, they're called co-ops. 20 farmers piled up their hay, and then they sold it, or they formed a co-op to manage it and store it, and save some money doing that. And then one farmer says to the other, hey, I got too much hay in there. Another farmer says, I don't got enough hay. He goes, here, I'll tell you what, I'll come plow your field for you, and you give me some hay. All right. All the hay's in the co-op, like in your wallet. The hay doesn't go anywhere when it changes ownership. Just a little ledger at the co-op says, Farmer Jim gave some to Farmer Bob. But the hay didn't go in it. No, nothing was transmitted. Same with crypto. Nothing gets transmitted. So there's no real money transfer. There's no anti-money laundering and things like that going on because they say, oh, you've sent money to Colombia. I didn't send any money to Colombia. No money got sent to Colombia. All we did was say a wallet transferred. And the laws say you don't have to report exchanging ownership of property. So we know the IRS treats crypto as property. The laws say when you send money to another, you have to use a licensed money transmitter. Unless it's a personal gift or personal transfer. And if you're a company that does it, you have to be registered to do that. So we're getting a little confused. I got off on a tangent there. Sorry about that. But the economic report of the president said, no can do. Payment industry sucks. Crypto did not live up to its thing. It basically wrote the whole thing off saying, it went nowhere. It's over. Crypto's done. Just the same reports that happened in, we'll say, 1902, 3, 4, 5. Those first couple of years that cars were invented. Those loud three-wheeler bangers, bang, 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 bang. Dangerous running around those horseless carriages. A lot of reports came out, said, these things are too dangerous. Get rid of them. It's not any good. And I got to tell you, the horse industry was like, nope. Their lobbyists were like, these are terrible. No good for the environment as the 1,000 horses took craps in the street. It's the same thing with crypto. Now, how did we get here from that? It was a coordinated effort, and it took a while. You know who was one of the biggest personal victims of that? Our friend, Caitlin Long of Custodia Bank. Let's see if we can find her. Caitlin Long. One second while I've been working on having all of these web pages up ready. There we go. Here we have the mighty Caitlin Long. She wanted to start a bank that dealt in crypto, and she came up with the concept that we will not be using the bank's fractional reserve system. We are going to have, I think it's 110% reserves. So for every dollar somebody deposited in their bank, in cash or crypto, they would have an extra 10%. They'd keep that money and have an extra 10% as a reserve. Fully funded bank. A fully funded bank means that every depositor could show up at once and receive 100% of their money immediately. Well, however long the line took at the teller. When was the last time that happened? Never. That's why bank runs got started. We just saw at Silvergate Bank. People took out billions of dollars out of that bank really fast, and depositors lined up to get their money. But did they have billions of dollars in cash? Nope. They had plenty of assets, billions of dollars of assets, but they couldn't get them liquid fast enough. They had to sell things. They had to tried to sell equity in their companies, sell some stock, raise the money. It just couldn't happen fast enough, and government stepped in and said, "You guys screwed that up." Put my phone on the charger here. You guys screwed that up. And so Caitlin said, "That's it. We're going to do things the right way." And so they registered. And you can open the small regional banks and without having any issues at all, as long as you conform with the American Banking Society's rules and your local rules and all that. But she wanted to be a member of the Fed. She wanted to be one of the members of the Fed, be a federally chartered bank. And when you're a member of the federal banking system, a full standing member, you get all kinds of benefits. For one thing, interbanking is far less expensive. You have access to capital and all the programs that the Fed has, and you have a much more. It's the big leagues. It's like, I want to be a baseball player. Do you want to play for your little county team here, or do you want to play for the Chicago Cubs? You want to play for the Chicago Cubs, or whichever team is good that year. But anyway, that's the major leagues, and she said, "I'm going to do this," and she did it. And she formed the bank, got the funding, did everything she needed to do, applied for membership of the Fed, and the Fed said, "No, no, 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 no." And she's like, "But we're fully funded. We're stable. You know, the day we launch, we'll have 100% equity in the bank." Fed said, "You're no good." The reason, obviously, I'm not privy to the inside reasons, nor have I read the 1,000-page lawsuit. The overriding concern was that the Fed said that Caitlin does not qualify for FDIC insurance. Guess why she did not qualify for FDIC insurance? Because every member of the bank has to participate in the insurance scheme, the FDIC's insurance. That's how that works. It's insurance. All the banks pay into it, so when one fails, it's just like a regular insurance pool. She did not qualify for FDIC insurance because why? Because she had no exposure to anything that needed to be insured. Her company was fully funded. If you have fully funding, you have no exposure to a bank run. You have no exposure to unsecured deposits, meaning you haven't lent out someone's deposit and the person doesn't pay it back, you don't get the money back. She had zero exposure because she was fully funded. See the catch-22? So what she could have done is said, "No, okay, we'll just be a regular fractional reserve bank." And then the government would have said, "Nope, because you're crypto." But still, the point was, she's caught in a catch-22, and that's not fair either. I mean, she's almost to the point where she could kind of sue for a writ of mandamus. Oh, some lawyer will correct me in the comments here soon enough. That's when you sue the federal government for the paperwork, basically the paperwork you deserve. I think the original case was Marbury versus Madison. That's a whole nother topic. But anyway, Kate believes she is owed membership in the bank. Caitlin, I don't, sorry for colloquializing her name. I'm not familiar with her. She calls herself. And so she's suing the federal government to say, "I've met the requirements, and you cannot keep me out of the club because of a catch-22. You can't say, I can't be in the program because of this, but I need this to be in the program." That doesn't work. It's not fair. That's not how our lives work. Court systems are actually set up to fix things like that if people bring it in the right manner. And it's very rare that those catch-22s last a long time, because eventually, the Fed's going to be like, and then she's probably spending money lobbying too, and Congress will come calling and say, can't do that. Or they'll say you can and keep everyone out. So Kate is lighting a fire on Twitter and on Nostr, the new kind of decentralized version of Twitter, which is fabulous, I might add. If you don't have a Nostr account, Nostr, you should, because people pay each other in there and they tip people each other with the Bitcoin Lightning Network, which the Lightning, I've always been on the edge of Bitcoin, but now with the Lightning Network, I gotta tell you, that's gonna rule the world. Anyway, she's on fire every day on Twitter, every day on LinkedIn. And normally you see people doing this, and they're caustic, and they are adversarial, and they are just mean because they got wronged, and so they're taking to social media to beat people up. Caitlin's taking a different approach. Her approach, as I've been following it, is laying out the facts. Obviously with a little social media exclamation points and hyperbole. But laying out the facts where the Fed is wrong for not letting her become a member, her bank become a member. And they're very good reads, and they're interesting reads, and they generate a ton of comments, this types of things. And this is, following this led me to figure out what's going on. And what did the government do? What did the government do, and who orchestrated it is the question. And one day, about a month ago, in congressional hearings, out of the mouth of the president, out of the mouth of, I don't want to put things in people's mouths, but a number of other regulators, one of which I think was Jerome Powell of the Fed, and potentially even someone from the SEC too, all on the same day used the same phrase about Custodia Bank. And that was that they were, you know what, I can't remember it. All on the same day, they besmirched Custodia Bank's name to the point where in the news was running that, a scam bank is trying to get membership in the Fed. Now, if you want to get all those different arms of the U.S. government to say the same thing, it's almost impossible. I mean, first of all, the Fed is technically independent. The SEC chairman operates on a nonpartisan job of so many years. Congress just does not report to the White House, and the White House does not report to Congress. Congress said to the White House, you need to say this. The White House would say, shut up, boys. And the other way around. The president said to Congress, you need to do this. And Congress would be like, shh, get lost. We do our own thing. To get them to all say the same thing on the same day, which mirrors what's in this economic report here, is frankly impossible. It requires a coordinated effort, an insider job that the world probably has never seen before. I mean, the government didn't coordinate their efforts this much when the banking crisis happened in 2008. When the when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No, not the movie Animal House. When World War II started, that fateful day in 1941. I can't recall all these arms of the government trashing an entity that hasn't even started business yet, I might add. At once, on the same day. It was quite the amazing thing to happen. And needless to say, where did Miss Long go? Oh, where did I put her? God, how did I do that? Needless to say, it lit a fire under Miss Long here, and she is on the warpath. Her activity list in LinkedIn is just amazing. Let's see. What does she write today? The Federal Reserve Board has stated commitment to DEI, and the Fed assesses diversity. Oh, diversity and inclusion. I can't wait to read this one. Duties required for the position sought taking into consideration the size and complexity of the organization. The board has discouraged proposals that involve individuals with limited relevant banking or business experience for key management or decision-making positions. Another thing they're using against her, basically saying, you're an inexperienced woman. We will not have you in our club. Her list of things goes on and on here, and it's great. It's great. But my point regarding all of this that I've been going on for about the past 45 minutes is that there is a large coordinated effort going on in the U.S. government. It's what I talked about on Monday's show, on Tuesday's show, on Wednesday's show, and on Friday's show, leading up to talking about this. And if anyone wants to join me about talking about it, just come on the VC. In TG, I see a couple of you are there commenting, but nobody's wanting to talk. But the show's all week led to this culmination of this show today, talking about how while most of the rest of the world is starting to embrace crypto and set rules for them, the U.S. government is taking an adversarial position to the point of an enforcement adversarial position, and it's very well coordinated. And that is because that happens when people are afraid and when there's a lot of money on the line. And there is a lot of money on the line. And the money isn't so much like businesses trying to get at it, because ultimately the money most businesses make is very small in the grand scheme of things. What the money that's at stake is the federal budget and the big chunk of the economy that is controlled by the federal budget and controlled by the typical banking sector. The typical banking sector controls, most of the payroll in the industry. They control most of or in the economy, they control most of the Visa and MasterCard purchases as the largest member banks. And they're seeing fees disappear very quickly. Maybe not now, because crypto is small and getting hammered. Crypto Lifer's show ended. And I've got some guy. I gotta pay attention to those things. Where is he? There he is. Oh, it's Kevin. He's a very popular guy here. I have 3,000 subscribers or 2,005, whatever I have. He's got 1.8 million subscribers. I put all the effort into this fancy background and having graphics and all kinds of stuff. He sits in his living room. Over here. 2 million subscribers. How many views? He's got 10,000 people watching him. What's he talking about today? The commercial real estate banking crisis commentary. Oh, yeah. Commercial real estate. Brutal. The work from home thing killed them. Anyway, he's on there today. And he's pretty good, too. I've seen a couple of his shows. And all is fine there, but he can have his show, and we will let him do that. Hold on, let me get him off there so it doesn't look like I'm trying to have a conversation with him. The headline you can't see here. CNBC anchor loses it. Overfed incompetence. Yep. I see what he means. All right, we'll just let that go for now. So this long coordinated effort. Earlier I showed you the banks taking all of the putting the money into the patents, developing systems. And then you see the government lobbying end. And you see the squeeze on the crypto companies themselves. That can only tell you one thing. Something big is coming. And it's coming pretty hard. And you'll start seeing the evidence of that in the next round of hearings in the House and in the Senate. The Senate's still controlled by Democrats, and so they can control the Senate Banking Committee, which has just been a joke with Elizabeth Warren on it. She just thinks North Korea is all of crypto. It gets people to testify that crypto has no value. In the House now, since it turned the House, the Finance Committee, used to be led by Maxine Waters, is now led by a Republican. So they've turned the corner and had some better talks about crypto. And they have also kind of put the brakes on some of the hyperbole that was coming out of the House about crypto. And also the Republican Party has a large caucus, a blockchain caucus that also has some Democrats in it too, I might add. It's not just Republicans. Problem is, though, is that a lot of the people in the blockchain caucus are in the crazy MAGA people group. And so a lot of what they say is written off as, idiots being idiots. However, they do have an effective caucus, and so the hearings for crypto now are starting to take a turn in the House. So when you see the pressure for the House to start switching that around, you'll know that their plan is coming into effect here. But until then, the banks are going to push the SEC to regulate by enforcement. And unless Congress steps in to stop that, which I doubt they will because they're divided, and also because the president, keep pointing at my screen when nothing's there, and because the president clearly hates Americans. Okay, I shouldn't say that. Hates crypto. And we know President Biden knows zero about crypto. We know that. We all get that and understand it. And this is the policy guys below him working. Who are the policy guys influenced? By the people they're going to work for when they leave the administration. And all those guys running the White House policy, where are they going to go work in 2 years when Biden's out of office? I know. He's going to run again. The man can't serve another term. He was just in Canada there in the pictures. I mean, everyone's surprised he's alive. He's like Weekend at Bernie's. I digress. Nice guy, but shouldn't be president again. But all those people that work in the White House policy for putting this drivel out here, where are they going to go work? They're going to get big fat jobs at J.P. Morgan, at Citibank, Bank of America, all the usual suspects. And that's how that works, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we talked about all week here. I've been ignoring the comments. Sorry about that. Let me check in with social media real quick. Oh, what do we got here? Let's see who has paid attention. Copy link to post. Let's see. Let's just go right to it. Hey, Anton. Sorry I missed your comment earlier. Let's reply to that. Thanks, Anton. Anton, if you're still watching, I do have a question for you about numbers. I'd like to talk to you. Failed to post the comment. What is going on? No, failed to post the. Why can't I post on LinkedIn? Good Lord. Anyway, Anton Golub, person I converse with a lot on LinkedIn, puts out a lot of research about the markets, money being spent. And he was the one that brought up the total number of dollars that the banks have had to take from the Fed. And a lot of other good information, I might add. All right, I'm going to put out a tweet here. We are going to tweet out what? And for those of you watching on YouTube, drop some comments in. Got any questions? I've been going on for a long time here today about the banking crisis and crypto and the coordinated effort by the U.S. government to put their thumb down on crypto and anyone that has anything to do with that in favor of the banking industry, which has unfortunately taken a tough turn. And we're going to enter the second hour of my show here this morning, my weekend recap, by tweeting what's going on. Hey everyone, live right now. Come join the discussion. About crypto and the banking crisis. And like I said, if you're listening on YouTube and want to participate in the voice chat, join the DYOR Project's Telegram room. And I'll bring you on voice and we can chat about things. A couple of people chatting earlier. One of the Telegram rooms I monitor, they were watching it on YouTube. Not wanting to come on. Join VC. All right, let's see. DYOR live. Excuse me for a minute while I... All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. All right, give me 1 second here. I'm going to refresh my tea or put the kettle back on. I've been talking here for an hour. I need a quick break. I will be back in 2 minutes. Give me just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. Enjoy this nice elevator music. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the little break. Need that. Moving from the first hour of the show to the second hour of the show. The first hour of the show, we focused on the banking sector. I'm going to clip that out for people. And now we're going to have the second hour of the show is going to focus on the news. Crypto and news. What? What is going on with the crypto news? Let me turn the music down here. So thank you all that stuck with me during the break, and to everyone that watched in the first hour. I gotta tell you, the time goes really fast here. When you get on a topic that you have been studying for a while and you're passionate about talking. And so in this break, I just put out a tweet to get some people to come on. For those of you that don't use the Brave browser, you need to switch to it now. It's 1,000 times faster than Chrome and doesn't use all your resources. You can't see it that well on my screen, but I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes about my sponsor. Sponsor of my show is Audit Chain. You've heard me speak about them all week. Because interestingly, they're interwoven into this whole banking thing that I've been talking about. What Audit Chain does is that what they're starting to do, I should say. Audit Chain has developed a product that via software that sits in nodes on the blockchain, validating nodes, it can read and evaluate corporate filings with the SEC or whatever jurisdiction it is. They do it worldwide. And can come back with reports that show what is going on with the company's financials. This isn't the page I wanted, but let's see what comes up. Analysis. Taking a minute here. Where is that report? Actually, validation report. Seems to be downloading a bunch of data. I'm going to wait on that for a second. What they do is they come up with the things that all the CFOs, auditors, financial analysts, auditors, audit committee, and everyone missed when filing financial reports. And some things, big companies, they miss things, right? And that's in one of my shows the other week. I pointed out, I guess it was in my show, Rugged, Wrecked, and Ruined. I pointed out Signature Valley. Silvergate's, what we call it the Pacioli report, the report on their financials. And Silicon Valley Bank, and showed how many problems there were. There were a lot of problems. In fact, so many problems that the people at Audit Chain were like, whoa, we've never seen anything this bad. And they've reviewed thousands of companies. Welcome, Crypto Mike. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Crypto Mike coming to us from Manitoba. In the Pacioli reports, came back and said, hey, these banks have all sorts of trouble. Now, had analysts and had maybe the SEC or had the Fed been using this product, they would have seen long ago what 5 people in a room that was testing this project, and then me and Jason Myers from Audit Chain saw on my show, running it live, that we could pick out the problems in things like just calculation errors. One of the reports showed a $15 billion calculation error, obviously for the negative. Other reports showed that the banks didn't disclose certain things. One bank had 29 disclosures they didn't file. A lot of them are pittance little things, but a lot of the disclosures are real, or important ones, like for their net income. International companies have a hard time getting their net income right because they have a lot of currencies. It takes a lot of work. But the fact that they couldn't guarantee that their net income was right, or at least didn't disclose that their net income may be wrong, means that they're not filing their reports correctly and not warning the investors properly. And the SEC writes people up for small things like that all the time, but all of these things missed people's attention. Let me just find one of their reports here. Let's see if this one is. Yeah, here we go. Let's just put that one over here. Here's a typical typical report here. Let me just bring this up here so you can see it. What this is a report that when Audit Chain runs companies 10Qs, 10Ks, whichever, through their system, it comes up with these things. It says, look, right here, I'm pointing, the camera's not on. It says, right at the top of the screen, it says, disclosure check. Right here. I guess you can see my mouse. It said 20 failures. Balance sheet, didn't disclose certain things in the balance sheet. Assets roll up, liabilities, and on and on and on and on and on. Just goes on. And it goes down to list them. Did not. And they're required to file all these things. Okay, the disclosure's not so bad. Not so bad. What is bad is the calculations. See if I can come up with one of them. I guess I can't get there. I can't get there from here. Anyway. It brings it up in real time. And tell me, Tom, since you're pitching your sponsor, how would this happen? How would this happen if you didn't have Audit Chain with you? It doesn't happen. And people miss these things. The financial reports now are so complicated and long, there's almost no way to go through them and apply all the different rules that have to be applied to the different sections of it. And for a human to come out and pick all these things out. As Jason from Audit Chain says, this is a technology solution to a human problem. And it works. Wouldn't you love to have this information? If you were a short seller, wouldn't you love to have this information within seconds? Like literally, say Tesla files their January financial report with the SEC. Within 90 seconds of them filing it, you can completely audit it and see where they've screwed up. And say, look, they were off $15 billion. I'm not saying Tesla was off $15 billion. Company X was off $15 billion in this for the negative. I'm going to short sell it. And you'd beat all the competition. How about if you were a VC or a company like BlackRock that has invested in, probably has investments in all the top companies of the world. A lot of public companies. I'm guessing BlackRock employs 48 bazillion people as financial analysts, combing through documents, chasing after CFOs that give bullshit answers. and other company PR people that obfuscate what's really going on. And I'm sure they get tired of that. This eliminates all of that. Literally, a company like BlackRock could check up on all of their companies that publicly report within seconds after they release their numbers. It's that easy. An audit chain just needs their first customer. Which they're working on, they tell me. I'm not in the sales loop on that, of course. But once they do, they have this reporting end of it too. But the good part is that they have a whole nother part of the package, their Luca software package, that sits on the company side and prepares you for these reports. So that you can never have, you use their Luca software package in your house. It's a software as a service. You can never have these red things. Ever. The audit chain put out their test of 3,000 public companies or reporting companies. And they put the data points on Google Maps where the companies are located. And it's a sea of red. It's amazing. And when you put a Google layer on your phone with data on it, it stays with you and you can turn it on off as one of your own data layers. And I had mine on. And I'm actually driving through Chicago, one place to another. And there, all of a sudden, there's a big X near where I am. I'm like, usually, that if you know Google Maps, the X's mean that the road's closed or there's some problem there. But I was like, this one's a little different. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the audit chain thing. What is that? And I was driving by the headquarters of Mondelez Foods. Mondelez Foods is one of the largest food suppliers in the world. And they have the red X right there. Right on Google Maps saying we do not comply with SEC filings. What does that mean? Garbage in, garbage out. They can't get their crap together on the way out. That means they put crap numbers in on the way in. So that's the assumption there. Anyway, I found that to be that was very interesting, that the data, and most CFOs they're not even going to see this coming. They really won't. I mean, there's no way the CFO of, I'm sure in a meeting, the audit committee at Mondelez Foods approved the audit. The auditors say, fine. CFO's like, everyone did their jobs, great, got signed off, good job. Everything's great. There's no way the CFO is sitting there thinking, I think some guy named Tom is just going to be randomly driving by our company, look at his phone for directions, and it's going to say, hey, Mondelez Foods did not file their SEC correctly. What are they hiding? There's no way. There's CFOs all across this planet right now that's a foreign concept to them. It can't happen. They've lived in their own little world of financial reporting long enough. They've controlled the information going out. The analysts try and pry it out of them. No mas. It's revolutionary. And it's wonderful. So in essence, I wore this shirt for a reason for this thing here. Bounty Hunter. We all know this is the Mandalorian. Specifically Boba Fett from the Star Wars movies. That he was the bounty hunter. Because Audit Chain is going to be putting out another bounty program, I believe, defined. I don't know the details of it. I just know that they were talking about having a bounty program to find certain things in reports for companies that have failed this process. So we need to stay tuned to that. Also, I might add, linking this back to my show, is that the other day on this podcast over here, On the Brink, did episode 18 with Jason. We went over how this Pacioli system works. Suggest you all go view it. It's on the Audit Chain. It's in LinkedIn under the Audit Chain channel. And it's also in YouTube under the Audit Chain YouTube channel. Just type in the search Audit Chain. Episode 18 is the latest one. We did Signature Valley Bank as a demonstration. And then we took, the best part is we took suggestions from the audience. And one of my friends DM'd me and said, hey, do Tesla Live. And we did Tesla Live, and they failed. They failed. They came up with a sea of red like this. They had some calculation errors, disclosure errors. I tweeted it to Elon Musk, but he didn't respond. Can't believe it. I can't believe Elon wouldn't take the time to respond. Unbelievable. So I go on and on about Audit Chain because they've been good to me. And I talk about their products. I do have to say that they do have a token involved with that because it's their governance token. They're validating nodes. If you're wanting to analyze things, you have to have MetaMask and use some of their tokens to pay for the service because it's not free. And the validating nodes do it just like any other crypto validating nodes. They earn money by doing proof of stake stuff and validating the transactions and doing math and cryptography and that type of stuff. And since they have a token involved with it, I do want to say that, yes, I personally own some of their tokens. And I have a vested interest in them doing well. And I'm not a financial advisor regarding tokens or crypto. And if anyone that trades with me knows, definitely not a financial advisor. So I do want to say that I obviously, since they're a sponsor of my show, I have a financial interest in that. And I am not promoting anyone to go buy a token. What I'm promoting people is to get the word out to CFOs and analysts, short sellers, VCs, and other people that want to buy software that can make their job 1,000 times easier. I don't even think that's accurate. I think it's 1,000,000 times easier. Is to contact Audit Chain, get in touch with them about having a demo for them. Implementing the Lucaside software into your company so you can report correctly is actually kind of a sea change. It's a long sales cycle, and it requires the CFO to have some vision of what's coming down the pipe. And so the old school guys, you can probably forget it because they enjoy their status quo. But getting the word about Petroli out in the validating nodes is something everybody can use. Literally, individual investors, all of my viewers right now could say, I'm thinking about investing in this company. Let's run their financials through the SEC. Analysts who call, let's sit on the calls. You need to use this product. You can sit there and say to the CEO or CFO, look, you guys have a calculation error. Your according to US GAAP, blah, 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 your number's $15 billion off. What's up with that? And the CFO would literally be like, what? No, impossible. And as they say, you would win by having the better information. All right, let's see what's going on here real quick. Check the socials. For those of you watching on YouTube, please drop a comment. I've got a new comment system for bringing it up. We got a question, put a comment up. Works great, and I love to use it. So drop a comment. If you're watching it on your TV, it's hard to do that comments thing. I get it. So open your phone. Tune in. All right, ladies and germs. That's it for my spiel about Audit Chain. Thank you very much for being a sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, Audit Chain. Ladies and gentlemen, Audit Chain. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, I had one thing to say. At a correction yesterday when I was talking about their token, that not their token, their project. That I had them on. The logo below me is called Space Lounge. We do AMAs there for crypto programs, and we had Audit Chain on last year before they launched. And in the Space Lounge, we had all these projects come through us that were just token programs. Yeah, we're the newest best. We give 8% BUSD awards. We give 9%. We give 10%. All they cared about was their token. Utility was a second thing. You knew the projects weren't long. And Jason comes on and starts talking about their product. And the two other people in Space Lounge, Carmen and Robert, didn't have an accounting background. But I do from owning companies. And I'm also a zero accounting partner, if you know what that is. And I was listening to it. I'm like, oh, I realized two things. One, they have a real utility. And two, they care about their utility, and the token is just part of it. And yesterday I casually said that they don't care about their token. And what I meant to say was they care about their software. The token is part of it. They're not there just trying to pump their price. They know over the long term the price of the token will go up as companies and users adopt this. Because more will be bought of it, the price will go up. But they're not a typical crypto program out there trying to pump it. And the way I said it sounded kind of flippant, and I didn't mean that. I just meant that they cared about their product. The token price will do what it does as people buy it to use it. And that's what I meant about that. So I wanted to apologize for that. Anyway, we've got the news here. Let's see if we can blow this up a little bit. This week in the markets, the crypto rally. This article I came across earlier, and I'm like, yep, this is what I'm going to talk about today. Mike, see you later. He's got a dip. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Let's check the... hold on, give me a second here to... check the wires, as they say. Ugh. Carmen, what does she say? I put my own tweet up there. How about that? Isn't that nice of me? That's how that works, ladies and gentlemen. The new comment program is wonderful. Let's see what other messages people have sent in here really quickly. The Hunter, if you could see the icons, I think it says Gem Hunter. Are there issues on Tesla's filings with the SEC? Audit Chain found it. Wow, Tesla guys should be warned ASAP. Tesla. I tweeted Elon, like I said. But thanks, Hunter, for bringing that up. And then some guy named Striking says, it was awesome to see how blockchain technology can now be used to check up on traditional finance. It's a disruptor technology. Seeing it happen live on the air. I guess some of that didn't make it all the way there. Air was priceless. And it was. All right, so let's get to... I'm going to wrap the news into some comments here because they're good. What does... well, this is interesting. Caitlin Long writes, wow, no wonder why big banks fight us so hard. Excerpt from... Oh, it's a retweet. Comment, yada, yada, yada. All right, let's clear that one off as a retweet. Let's see what the... Caitlin also tweets, the Federal Reserve's own actions have forced it to do something it is not used to doing. Play defense, so much that it has announced a new transparency push after decades of the opposite. Grab for the congressional hearings this week on bank failures. Well, I just, in my first hour, I talked about how the push was to put the hammer down, the slam dunk Caitlin Long out of here in her Custodia Bank. And what did I mentioned the whole strategy the banks were using to do that. And I said the next round that you should look for is what happens in the next round of congressional hearings. And it looks like there's going to be another round of them next week, so we're going to pay attention to that for sure. Hopefully, we'll be able to go live and do some reaction to it. And it's always interesting when that happens. Once again, if you guys are joining us via YouTube, drop a comment or two. I'll put it up on screen. If you've got a question, we'll discuss it. If you've got a news item, that's what we're here for. But like I was saying, the news this week is really much around this article right here, The Week in the Markets. Crypto rally meets the headwinds as the Fed roils the markets. It's not the Fed's job to throw the markets into disarray. And I got to tell you, they did a damn good job of it. They did a damned good job of it. You know what? I need to move this window over here. Excuse me for a second while I move this around. Center TV. There we go. And it's not the business of the Fed to roil the markets. The business of the Fed is what? To soothe the markets. Make everything run nice and smooth. Smooth like butter, as Chris from Vault Finance would say. And so what we have here is the week, as I started out my first hour of the show saying, the old John Lennon song. And of course, I'm gonna have to look that up again. As John Lennon famously said, "Strange days indeed. Most peculiar, mama. Roll." I guess that phrase, Caitlin Long, if you're listening to this, I know you're not, but I'm gonna have you on my show one way or another. If you're listening to this, I think this phrase should apply to you. By John Lennon. Strange days indeed. They are strange. Nobody would predict that the Fed roils the markets and makes a mess of things, especially with your application. Most peculiar. Yes, most peculiar. That's for sure. And roll. That means get going. She's suing. She's rolling with it. Let's roll. A famous saying from 9/11. Let's roll. That's what she's doing. So if you're out there listening and want to talk, join our DYOR Project Global voice chat in the Telegram. And I'll bring you on here. I've bridged Telegram to this whole thing. And I push this out on the Twitter Spaces too, but I just need one additional computer for that. I can do it all on this computer, but like earlier, I had the blue screen of death, and I'll have the blue screen of death again. And so the news, the interesting thing this week with the news and the Fed, and for years, people have been talking about, especially the maxis. You know who you are, you Bitcoin maxis. Nick Spanos. Nick, feel free to come on my show anytime. He's a good guy. And talk at length about Bitcoin. He's been in the markets forever. One of the few people that has met both Vitalik and CZ at the same time. But anyway, Bitcoin pumped. As Crypto Lifer would say, it's pumping, baby! Yes, Sam, I enjoy your show. It pumped. It went up crazy. In Bitcoin over the past few weeks, I don't have the chart up, but it got as low as $16,500, and it got all the way up to almost $29,000. Up 45%. When the stock market is down, everything else is down. Like literally everything else is down. Bitcoin pumping. It's pumping, baby. All right, I'll leave that to Crypto Lifer to use that phrase. And so it proved what everyone's been talking about for years. Is that for years people have been saying, oh, Bitcoin's a hedge against inflation. Bitcoin is safe and secure, all this type of stuff. And regulators and people have been saying, poo-poo on you, it's not true. And what we did see, a bunch of us said, maybe they're right. Bitcoin is not a hedge against inflation when inflation started going crazy. Because the price of Bitcoin didn't skyrocket like it. Well, it didn't go to 100,000, so it's no good. But what it did do is it held its value. Sure, it's a little volatile, but it's only as volatile as the stock market is. It did dip all the way down to 16,000, but most of that big dip was because of the unwinding of FTX, Gemini, and a bunch of other people's large levered Bitcoin positions. So they had to dump a lot of stuff. And once they got out of that, the market just needed one little bit of good news, and bam, the market makers and then bigger investors brought money back in and pushed the price up. And what it showed is that Bitcoin, as soon as the banks started failing, Bitcoin is a flight to safety. A flight to safety, a flight to quality, they call it. Usually a flight to quality is when you buy long-term bonds, treasuries, things like that. Flight to safety is buying gold. When times are tough, people buy gold, invest in gold. It holds its value. There's only so much of it around. Comes from supernovas. Not a lot of supernovas around. Sorry for slurping my coffee, but my Canadian wildlife. I do spend half my time in Canada, where the significant other is. Who takes pictures of me and online and sends them to me. I see you. Anyway, so Bitcoin turned out to be a flight to safety and proved everyone's point that when it came right down to it, is that people would turn to Bitcoin, and it happened. And it happened to a large extent. Not so much from the retail sector, because much of the world is hearing bad things about Bitcoin. Much of the world in crypto is the U.S. A lot of people just hearing the government's message saying, nope, no good. But the big the market makers, the people with a lot of money in their investment portfolios, put some in Bitcoin. They certainly did. So that's one of the big things that happened. Take what you want from that. We'll see. Bitcoin still has a lot to prove itself, but it did this week, that's for sure. The SEC charges Justin Sun. Issues Coinbase Wells letter for $1 billion. $1 billion Ether has been lost. Oh, I haven't read this article. I've obviously read the Coinbase thing. Research from Coinbase director revealed that more than $1 billion of Ether has been lost forever to bugs and human error. Yeah, that's what happens in crypto too. Companies and people don't have proper controls in place. And they mistakenly send stuff to the wrong place. Meaning that, say I have $1 billion in my Ethereum wallet. And I say, okay, I'm going to send this to Binance. And I copy their address, paste it in my phone, and then my phone rings. Hello, how you doing? My thumb touches my screen, clicks autocorrect or whatever, and it changes a digit, or it repopulates. It says, oh, you typed this. Did you mean that? And you accidentally change it. All right, I got to go. Bye. And you click, and then you said, oh, I pasted it. I'll hit send. And it went to the wrong address. If that address is not valid, that money's likely gone. Like sending it to the dead address. If you send it to a valid address, but it's someone else's address, they just got $1 billion. If they're in the same jurisdiction, if you're in the U.S. and they're in the U.S., you could call them back and say, I mistakenly sent it to you. I want it back. And they'll either give it to you back, which has happened, or they'll say, you sent it to me. That's crypto. And then you have to sue for it, and the courts force the people to give it back. And normally what happens is they're like, all right, we're going to sue you and we're going to win. We accidentally sent you $200 million. We'll let you keep 100,000 of it if you just give it back to us. Nobody has to spend any legal fees. People are like, done. Got a free $100,000 today. They still have to report that as income though, so they'll only get about $65,000 out of it. And so Coinbase has lost about $1 billion, and I can attest to that because people make errors and they don't have proper controls. One of the things that banks are very good at is controlling the processes for their money. I've been beating up the banks all day here, but they're very good at that. They're very good at that because they don't want anyone stealing their money. Banks have all these rules in place because at some point someone stole money from them. They say, well, we need another process to stop that from happening. So nobody at a bank can just run off with all the cash or mistakenly send it somewhere. When they go to send a wire transfer, there is, a number of checks. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And you have to say yes. And you get to the last one. What is the last? When you send a wire transfer, if you do it in person, it's the last thing you sign. If you do it online, it's the last box you check. It says you have attested that this information is correct. And if it turns out to be wrong, we cannot get your money back. And we're not liable for that because you have checked this box 10 times and said it's correct. So wire transfers and bank transfers very rarely go awry. It does happen. Very rarely. But bank transfers, they have a way of getting that back. With crypto, there's no central admin for most of this stuff. There's no way of getting it back. So that's happened. I've lost money. I've mistakenly sent. I think I sent 2 BNB to the wrong address. I think I sent it to the Ethernet address for Binance instead of the BNB address. And it took them a year and a half to get it back, a year or so to get it back to me. Since I sent it to their address, they were able to go in and see it and send it back to me. But if I had sent that to some other random Ethereum address, it just would have been locked up and dead forever. Gone. Goodbye forever, as they say. What else we got here? What's that part about Justin Sun? Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about too. The news about Hong Kong. The Block is reporting. Great website. I'm going to promote them since I'm using their content. Can Hong Kong's big bet on digital assets lure crypto back? Hong Kong is an amazing market. Everybody knows. When they are let free to do what they want, Hong Kong really flourishes. And it did under British rule because it was like this outpost of Britain, or I should say of the United Kingdom. And they kind of just were the financial hub of Asia, of the Asia-Pacific region. And unfortunately, under China's rule, China has done their thing and taken all the fun out of the party. I didn't realize I still had Caitlin's comment up here. But the finance, China finally realized that they put the brakes so hard on Hong Kong about being its little independent self that they were killing the market and killing the city. Companies literally were just packing up in trucks, getting on a ferry and going down to Singapore, setting up shop. And Singapore is a big hub for crypto right now. And Hong Kong's like, wait, we want your business. We want, come back. And companies are like, no, we've got the Chinese government putting the thumb on you. And so we need a fair playing ground. Because it's difficult with the Chinese government involved, and not just because of the political things you hear and all that. It's an I can't even say it. Governments that are authoritarian, the whole system is set up to support that, and it's generally difficult for people to be wealthy in an authoritarian system. And like in the U.S., you can get rich and nobody cares. Obviously, some woke people are like, "No, rich people, they're evil." But you can get rich, and most people celebrate it. Good job, you've succeeded in life. You deserve what you've got. In authoritarian markets, like many countries of the world, once you get some money, first of all, you're not generally in authoritarian markets. You're not allowed to get money without the approval of the government. Like the government is in on your businesses. The local governments know who's getting wealthy, and they want a piece of the action, just like the mafia. I mean, authoritarian governments are generally code words for mafia, just like Russia. It's just one big organized crime family. And they want a piece of the business. And so if you get wealthy, you have to basically pay a large part of your fortune to keep the rest of it. And so that's what people are worried about in Hong Kong. They were worried about the Chinese government's effect of that. And now people in Hong Kong said, all right, we need to appeal to the regional governor. The regional governor for Hong Kong came in. I'm not going to get their name right. They were the head of the putting down the protests. And the Chinese government put them in power, said, good job doing that, getting the island under control. You can run it now. And one of the things they realized is that they couldn't be a jerk forever. Because the Hong Kong spirit is more wild and free than the traditional Chinese spirit. Because they've grown up under an open system. So they appealed to the senses of the regional governor and said, hey, let us do crypto again. It's officially banned in China again, but let us do crypto. And so they said, okay. And so the rule is that Hong Kong's to be open to crypto. Can they bring it back? And the answer is no. I know, guys, you're going to try. You're going to try hard, but it's not coming back. It's just not coming back. And the reason is simply because you're under the Chinese government's rule, and at any moment they can change the rules. And it's not just because of that. It's the reason why. It's because financial markets like what? What did I just talk about the Fed? The Fed roiled the markets this week. That's not their job. What do the markets like? They like expectations. Everybody wants to have a smooth sailing day. Say the market's going to be up 5% today. All right, let's get through it. Market's going to be down 5%. All right, that's fine. Take the train home at the end of the day. They like expectations, like a fair playing field. They like to know what's coming so they can make plans, like in any business. You know, if in any business that you would run, if tomorrow you didn't know what was going to happen, could you run your business effectively? No, you'd be frantic every day. You'd be in full panic. Are we going to sell anything tomorrow? Can I pay my employees? Whatever. But if you know what? I've got a 10-year contract. Sell this much stuff over the next 10 years. 10-year contract, 10 years. Then I can go about my business and everything's great. But in Hong Kong, they're saying, all right, come back and we'll let you start working just like you did before. But businesses are smart. They really are. And they know that at any moment, something could happen and Beijing could just make an announcement that says, we're changing the rules. Not for any bad reason or dictatorship type thing or anything like that. That has nothing to do with that. Just that they have the ability to change the rules, and they do so for reasons that the West doesn't understand. And we try to understand, but we don't. Ladies and gentlemen, we will never understand that properly. That beeping is the bus outside. And it's snowing again. Great. The late March snow. Don't love that. Anyway, so the opinion piece for today that Benjamin Robertson from The Block wrote about in his policy column, it's not going to work for you, Hong Kong. You'll get some companies to go there because they have part of the Chinese diaspora, the ethnic Chinese. And I'm betting that China will start secretly allowing people to use exchanges based in Hong Kong. You know, there's some plan for that. If they're letting it happen now, there's a plan for it. Which, if it doesn't go well, they'll shut it down and everyone will be screwed. As Benjamin says here, early returns look shaky. Crypto companies and their lawyers already want changes to the new law before it's even taken effect, arguing that the proposed regime is too stringent and won't attract the caliber of companies needed to meet the government's goal of restoring the city as a digital assets center. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Singapore has taken the lead. And with Singapore, people can go there from any country for business and do business. They can set up shop there. It's wonderful. It's like the old Hong Kong. It is. Let's check. Let's check the social medias real quick to see what has come up since we last checked them. Where's the LinkedIn here? Let's refresh that. Not letting me post on LinkedIn. I don't understand that. My own show, I can't post. How about if we try this way here? Anton. Thanks. Please be a guest someday. Someday soon. Not see that. Let's see if it posted. It posted that comment. Alrighty. Yeah, the socials on Saturday mornings are always a little tough. Why? Because people are sleeping. But in my week long of shows, I came out early to do this. Because I wanted to sum up the week-long events. It's always good to check in with Wrecked News. I like the guys from Wrecked News. They're straightforward. They're from the United States. They're from France. They're from all over. And they just have this mindset of like, crypto is full of idiots. Let's just do better than them. See if I can make this bigger for everyone to see. From Wednesday, March 22nd, they're at it again. Once more, we'll pay the consequences. The treatment isn't a cure, just short-term relief. As chaos ranges in traditional FI, we must show resilience. Let's see what this article's about. I love the graphics they come up with, too. It's always good. Once more, we'll pay the consequences. Facing an already faltering economy, the decision to backstop deposits at SVB in order to halt further contagion apparently came quite easily for the U.S. regulators. After all, the comfort of global U.S. dominance has led to permanently itchy trigger fingers around the money printer. But for how long, it says? How long? How long can that last? Once again, systemic issues in the U.S. are wreaking havoc across the pond. Now, when reliance on the stability of USDC, a stablecoin, and the projects it underlies is clearer than ever, traditional finance instability poses a threat to the system that's set out to replace it. As long as our industry remains susceptible to these kind of risks, can it really be called DeFi? It's a good point they bring up. USDC is one of the most popular stablecoins. And USDC has been in the news recently because they are, when other stablecoins have failed, USDC is fully backed, they say. Meaning they are a product of a company called Circle, which one of their investors is Coinbase, and I think there's 3 major other investors that support it. And USDC is widely accepted as fully backed by dollars. Very safe. Where were those dollars stored? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Those dollars were stored in banks. What happened to those banks? Bye-bye. Off with your money. So I think a couple of $1 billion, like 20% or something like that of Coinbase's or of Circle's USDC dollar backing was in Silicon Valley Bank. And Silicon Valley Bank was going to go bye-bye. All of a sudden people were saying USDC is not fully backed. And so people started short selling it. I don't know how you short sell a stable coin. I've never done that. And it depegged from $1. There was so much sell pressure on it that it got down to 89 cents. And the shorts made a lot of money on that. And then as the news just started to percolate that the Fed was going to honor all deposits and make everyone whole, guess what happened? It repegged. And the people bought long positions at 89 cents and made a killing. They literally made a killing. They made 10% on the way down and 10% on the way up. And if they used any leverage, they could have made 100%. They literally could have made millions and millions of dollars if you knew that was coming. Well, if anything, you know it's coming, you can make millions of dollars. But USDC is the underlying stablecoin for a lot of important things. And if that were to falter, or it faltered, if that were to fail, there would be hell to pay. And thankfully, I gotta say, what happened was, again, I've used this excuse before. Silvergate Bank existed and was very popular because they operated 24/7. And exchanges and those in the crypto industry that had a ton of money that needed liquidity or needed to buy or sell or trade or whatever could go to them at any time of the day. When Silvergate went down, what happened? That position was eliminated. And when that position got eliminated, when USDC needed to access its capital, and I don't know how it worked behind the scenes, but they had to wait. They had to wait all weekend for the markets to open on Monday. And the uncertainty over the weekend caused it to depeg, go down to 89 cents. And when it opened on Monday, they got access to their cash, said, we're fully backed, and the price shot back up to $1. But they had to wait. They had to wait 48 hours. And 48 hours in the crypto markets, as all of you know, you, everyone, 48 hours is an eternity in a 24-hour market cycle. It's not 9 to 5, or like when I used to work in the coffee, sugar, cocoa markets. They'd open at 10:30 and close at 2. All those guys from Brooklyn had the best jobs ever. I don't remember if they were from the Bronx or Brooklyn. A lot of the guys in the coffee, sugar, cocoa markets all the traders were the same neighborhoods in one of those 2 boroughs. They had it easy. Crypto 24/7. So when they needed access to their capital, they had to wait. They had to wait for the Monday morning bank. And over the weekend, it was just hell to pay. And unfortunately, as we say, well, some guys shorted it and made a lot of money, and then the people that bought it made money, so that's fine. But a bunch of people lost money too. You know, it's generally one of those things. If you lose $1, I win it. If I lose it, you win it. Kind of how that works. And so what Rect News is talking about in their article here is that as long as the DeFi industry is susceptible to the failings of the regular banking system, that's going to happen. It didn't start out that way, though. It didn't start out that way. Chuck, if you're still listening, Chuck was a miner. Mined things. The proof of work miner things. Back before 3 pools controlled all of Bitcoin. You could get crypto just by running your laptop, and you could get crypto. Didn't have to rely on a bank or fiat. You basically exchanged your fiat for electricity and computer parts. And in exchange, you got cryptocurrency. You got Bitcoin or Ethereum or Moneris or whatever else you mine. And that currency or that crypto is not subject, has nothing to do with the banks. It's out of the banking system. And early on in Bitcoin, it had no value because it was out of the banking system and you couldn't do anything with it. But as it caught on and people started buying it and adding it to their wallet, caused the price to go up. But now, if Ethereum switched to proof of stake, all the other tokens that have come on, stable coins and all that, they get all their money the old-fashioned way. You trade dollars for it. Ethereum just doesn't just poke up anymore. I mean, the validators get some for doing their thing. But it's not like the everyday people now can get it. Because you can't open your laptop and mine this stuff anymore. You could, but it would be like winning the lottery. Because the big pools have so much more power and hash rates, you just don't have a chance. Oh, as chaos rages in traditional DeFi, we must show resilience. Rect investigates. It's for another day. I'll talk about this, but as we prepare for the week, that's just the news from them. Euler Finance got wrecked. Oh, let's just read it out. Against the background of a banking meltdown and stablecoin crisis, one of the DeFi's most well-established lending protocols, Euler Finance was struck for $200 million. $200 million. Euler says, we're working with security professionals and law enforcement. As the situation developed, losses began to mount. $200 million, various tokens. Placing Euler number 6 on the leaderboard. The total locked value in Euler dropped from $264 million to just 10 between what was stolen and what was emergency brought out of it. Any hopes of a white hat were quickly put to bed. The associated address had previously been used to exploit another project before, and the money went to Tornado Cash. Bye-bye. They can talk about it going wrong, the investigation of that. I encourage all of you to go to rect.news for that information. But they got hacked. And without going into the article, it's just programming had a vulnerability. Hacker figured it out. Smart contracts, most of smart contracts are able to be completely seen by the internet. You can copy someone's contract and relaunch it as your own, change the name on it. So what hackers do is they copy someone's contract and run it through a million iterations of hacks until they find one. And they think, well, look at that. In line 6,000, they didn't reset that variable, or they said that variable should check to make sure that it has been reset to 0, or check that it can't sell more than the total value that's allowed. And they didn't. They forgot. And it still passed the audit. And then what they do is they hack it. You lose all your money. Unfortunately, the lending protocols are one of the things that's driving innovation, because you can, for people that own crypto, if say, like you can literally borrow against your crypto to buy a car. People look at me like in the real world, they think, Tom, you're crazy. What car dealer is going to take crypto? Maybe there's some out there, some Tesla dealers that might take it. Well, there's no Tesla dealers, but maybe Tesla will take it. Or a local car dealer will be like, sure, I'll take Bitcoin. There's no formal policy for it. But what you can do, say you're lucky enough to have $50,000 in crypto. You were under the original SafeMoon people that got lucky and made a ton of money in it. You bought Bitcoin when it was at $1, and you still have it. So you have a nice savings in the bank. You can take that Bitcoin, say I want to borrow $50,000. You can take, say I want to buy a car for $25,000. You can take, like say $50,000 of Bitcoin, give it to a lending group, and they'll give you $25,000 cash. They'll give you $25,000 in a stable coin. You take it to your exchange, get the $25,000, get cashier's check, walk over to the car dealer. There you go. Here's your cash. Drive away in your car. Now your crypto has bought you a car. And you either have to pay that back, which you then deposit money back into Euler to pay off your loan. Or you just say, F it. Say, you keep my collateral. There you go. Keep the collateral. They take your collateral and your and some fees associated with that, and then send you back the rest. And they take more than you borrowed because of the volatility. You know, I don't know what the rates are, but they take more in case the value of Bitcoin goes down. And then that ratio wasn't good enough when Bitcoin from 60 to 20. A bunch of these people got burned because their ratios weren't large enough. And so you can borrow against crypto to buy a car. Now, if you want to do this through your bank, you have to meet with people. You have to fill out forms. You have to provide proof of income. You have to provide how you're going to repay that loan. You have to do you have to jump through all kinds of hoops. Even if you have the assets, I have another car I want to borrow against. I have a house I want to borrow against. You have to do all sorts. You have to do title searches, deed searches. You have to get insurance, all this kind of stuff. It's a pain in the keister. With groups like this, with Euler and Curve and these guys, you can borrow money with them in the time it takes blockchain to process that block, which, most blockchains, it's between, 8 seconds and 5 minutes. Or I don't know what the longest ones are. So you can borrow money on it. But they got hacked, and so everyone's money, and it got lost. And I don't know how Euler's going to refund them or anything like that. Like I say, if you're gonna, in the early days of crypto, Bitcoin's on a little morning pump here. Sure, it's because of my reporting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. Been on for almost 2 hours now. That's about long enough. So let's do a little social media. Maybe wrap this up. I don't know what we're watching there on the TV. Let's see. Let's see what we are doing here. Let's go to the Twitters. Check my DMs. I tend to get a lot of DMs from people on these shows so that their comments don't appear in public. I find that interesting. Let's see, my friend Kurt was watching for a little bit. Kurt, thank you very much. Well, not an in-person friend, but a internet friend from watching the show. Thank you very much. Kurt was the one that suggested Tesla on the audit chain on the Brink podcast the other day. Let's see what else we have to say here. Let's find. See what the morning tweets bring us here. Oh, just in time. Just in time, what we were talking about just now. Another 7,737 ETH from Euler. Exploiter to Euler Finance, but using, let's see, we don't get the whole tweet there. Wonder why. Like they got wrecked for some additional cash monies. Another 7,737 ETH from Euler Exploiter to Euler Finance, but using a different wallet. Oh, he's returning some of the money. He returned 510,000 ETH to Euler Finance. Whoa, let's cover this real quick here. The Euler Exploiter just returned 510,000 ETH. No, I'm sorry, 51,000. I wonder why. Oh, that's a good point. Someone brings up. I thought he got hacked. It's a good point. There was just I forget which protocol it was over in the UK. A hacker made off with a group's funds, and they hacked him back. They hacked him back under a court order, I might add. Hacked him back. Let's see. Why did this happen? Let's go back to blockchain security and see. Apparently it came through a anonymous swap service. Good information. A new trick. Recently we have first discovered a new scam method again, which cleverly combines the features of fake token and zero transfer. We use the Boshen hacker as an example to explain this kind of phishing method. Here is the summary. The phishers created several fake token contracts. These fake tokens have the same symbol as the real tokens, usually USDC, USDT, DAI, etc. After monitoring, a user initiates a large transfer to a certain address. Usually they monitor for above 10,000. The scammer will forge an address that is extremely similar to the previous transfer target. The phishers imitated the user's real transfer and sent a fake token of the same amount to a fake address, Should be noted that such behavior will not be considered phishing by Etherscan. That's interesting. And if the user mistakenly believes that this fake address is an address that he or she has transferred before and copied it, oops, they fall for the phishing trap and transfer their money to the scammer. This is a new type of phishing. It's a new type of phishing, similar to the previous zero transfer scam. Stay vigilant. Do not readily copy the address of small deposits or of deposits without verifying its authenticity. So to summarize that, what people are doing, wow, Bitcoin's pumping. To summarize that, what people are doing is when you go to transfer, say, a 50,000 USDC from one address to another, they're using a fake USDC because on DeFi you can make any name and any token that you want. And in the right after you make your transaction, they do that transaction. So it populates Etherscan or BSC scan or Polyscan or whatever with two virtual identical transactions. One's the real one and one's a fake one, just sending fake tokens to a fake address, hoping that at some point in your life you'll need to go copy it, say, oh, I need to send it to that again. Where is it? I'll go to Etherscan, get the address. You see your transaction, you click on it, and it's the wrong one. And you will have gotten wrecked. I guess that's I guess I'll bring that topic up on Rugged, Ruined, and Wrecked. Let's write that down. Wrecked. Expert scam. Fake token. All right, before I give it a go here today, let's see what people are talking about. Bitcoin. Told the group to watch out. Watch out for the buy here. Watch out for the buy. If the trend breaks, then it hit on TP. Obviously saw more than just that. I got that right. Let's see what else. What else are people talking about? BTC. Ooh, a lot of spam. An NFT collection, yada, yada, yada. Whale trade alert. No, whale trade alert's got some good stuff. Interesting enough, a lot of Chinese languages coming back. Banned in China. But as they open up Hong Kong, it's coming back. Guy writes, if I knew how to start a local bank that only held BTC and gold reserve, I'd do it today. And would have people pounding down the doors to get in. I got bad news for you, Randolph. Got bad news for you. Our friend Caitlin tried that. Failed. Let's see what else. It's hard to go through Twitter and search for Bitcoin because there's so much spam. I gotta tell you these things here. It didn't bring up the picture. It's one of the Bored Apes. Everyone's gonna lose their money on that. Failed you the last time. It's gonna happen again. All right, we're not going to get any good news out of that. I was hoping for some good news out of Bitcoin. Let's see. Let's do the check of LinkedIn real quick. We got some good viewership on LinkedIn today. And we got some good viewership on YouTube today. Well, I've checked the socials. I've taken your comments. We've talked today. In hour one, we covered the banking crisis and crypto and how they're interrelated but not interrelated. We talked about the plan by the banks to take over the crypto world and how you're seeing that manifest itself in the political ways here. I guess the best way to talk about that is revert to the economic report from the president and how it beat up crypto. And we talked about how our friend Caitlin Long got beat up. Let's see. Hold on a sec here. Let's check something. How Caitlin Long got beat up with her Custodia Bank all on the same day by various agencies and arms of the U.S. federal government, from the president to Congress to the SEC to the Fed to hearing subcommittees or whatever. They took a beating in one day, almost to the, really to the point of, I would say, libel. It was terrible. It was terrible. In the second hour, we kind of went through the news. Talked at length about our sponsor, Audit Chain. Thank you very much, Audit Chain. And we spoke about how Audit Chain works, and especially the going live this week. What we did is we talked a lot about Audit Chain's capabilities, and it culminated with on their podcast, On the Brink, which I host for them, doing Tesla's Pacioli report. And it wasn't good. Wasn't good. We did it live. Took 90 seconds. Would have taken a human forever. And then we covered some of the news, answered some comments, questions, and it was a good show. We had a good week. I did this whole week as a kind of an experiment. Just trying to get the YouTube algorithm to give me some love. Talking to some YouTube people, and they said, man, you got to put more shows out, more content out, get that YouTube algorithm anticipating you coming on and showing you to the new people. And we tried that. We're trying that. We're on all week. We had some good shows on every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. One morning I wasn't on is because I had the AMA, the podcast with Audit Chain a few hours later. And then we did a weekly wrap-up show here on Saturday, and I spent 2 hours this morning talking to everybody. And enjoying the morning, being here with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time that you spent. We had about 100 people tune in today on the various platforms. I appreciate that. No, not a lot of you. Only a couple of you watched for, a majority of one of the hours of the show. But that's how it works with YouTube and social media. You only get some of the time for your people. People are busy. And YouTube doesn't let you multitask well. You got to fix that, YouTube. You got to allow people to multitask without having to pay you. So anyway, that's the end of that, and we will see you next week. So be there.